Hello and welcome to the webinar today. I'm John Woodruff from Q Partners, and also we've got on the webinar is Mark Gibbon, who's working for the growth company and specialises in the programme of access to finance. And the third person today is another Q partner, Jason Kingston. So any questions, there will be some information at the end of these slides with our contact details, so please contact us directly, or alternatively you can contact Mark as well through Access to Finance. So Mark, so from Access to Finance's point of view, obviously there's a lot of concerns with businesses around Lancashire and probably northwest of England, and what they're looking at now is, how can I help myself through this period, through the initial calamity of coronavirus and looking at potentially losing my business through to survival mode and then thriving afterwards.
Well, I think typically we'll help businesses to identify perhaps some of the mechanisms that the government have put in place to help make businesses maybe more resilient and survive this period. So we will generally try and keep aware of what those are and guide businesses towards them. I think in particular, you're looking at the sort of CBIL scheme as being one of them, whereby businesses can obtain funding from a variety of different lenders in order to help them overcome the interruption in their revenues. So we can help with the business support side of that, with putting together some forecasts, business plans, so they can engage those lenders in a meaningful conversation and hopefully be able to draw down funds from the scheme. That's just one of them that seems to be quite prominent at the moment.
So they wouldn't necessarily have to do all the work themselves. You're actually there as a facilitator, and you're actually going to help them and support them through that program, are you?
We will. We're a fully funded service, funded in part by Lancashire County Council. So we're there to help businesses across the county of Lancashire to be able to access funding when they need it, but also to signpost them as well to other useful resources that that can help the business during these difficult times. Okay.
So is there any schemes off the top of your head that you think would be applicable for the additional funding?
Well, I think there's two arms to this, and one I think we've obviously mentioned before in the CBIL scheme, which will enable businesses to hopefully get money into the business. But equally, business owners need to look at measures in order to retain cash into the business as well. So there's a number of different options that are out there, particularly in terms of local authorities and rate relief, particularly if they're in the hospitality sector. They need to have a look at these options. There's also grant funding that is there that's available from the local authorities. So really what we're trying to do is signpost businesses towards these options. There's also the time to pay arrangement with HMRC as well. So if you have got that VAT bill looming, it may be a good time to approach HMRC with a view to having a sensible repayment scheme so that the business doesn't have to part with all that cash. There's obviously the job retention scheme, which has been in the news quite recently as well. So business owners have to consider a number of different things that they might want to avail themselves of. So I think there's two arms to this. There's one, cash retention in the business. So above and beyond what we've already mentioned, it might be entering into dialogue with landlords. It may be speaking to creditors, but also maybe speaking to major customers as well. Are they in a position to pay early? Yep. We've heard examples of Morrison's, for example, paying early to help their suppliers. So there's a number of different options that are out there, and I think there isn't one big...
As well. Extending payment terms as well from supply chain.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I don't think there's one silver bullet that will fix this for a particular business, but I think if they avail themselves of all the options that are out there, then I think they give themselves the best possible chance of surviving this pandemic.
But it's a little bit, isn't it? It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and eventually the full summary of all of the help and support that they can align themselves to is going to have a big effect in the long run, isn't it? Sorry, Jay.
No, I was just going to say, it's almost like playing an orchestra with different parts coming in at different times, and that rearranging the symphony can sometimes make a bigger difference as to how you play the tune. To those ends, just one thought on there. What we're seeing is a lot of the businesses which are actually seeing growth at this time, and some of these businesses which 3-4 weeks ago had the hands in the sort of the head in the hands, is the ones who've been brave enough to rapidly pivot into a digital way. Now, typically, the ones who have been able to do that have had access to their own funds, the ones that we're seeing. Now, we are also seeing businesses which have got fantastic ideas, got the bravery, but in those situations, they may possibly not have the funding immediately available to make that pivot. So they've got all the ingredients apart from the funding just to rapidly get the digital content created and to get the licenses that they need for the filming and so on. In that situation, is that an area where people could also speak with you with regards to funding, so almost to go from a physical business to a digital business, or at least a digital business?
Yeah, absolutely. Even though we're in some unprecedented times at the moment, there's still some growth businesses out there that are able to flourish. So that, I suppose, is the day job anyway. So we'd be happy to support those growing businesses, whether they're looking to diversify or pivot or maybe change slightly what their business model is. There's still lenders out there that are still looking to lend under normal commercial terms. So yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mike. So I think the message out there for everybody is that if you're a company that is looking at that's struggling at the moment, and you can see that it's only going to be a temporary blip, but you need some access to finance, then I think Mark's your point of call. But also, if you're a business that is actually flourishing because of the products and services that you're delivering over this period of time, and you're struggling on cash flow because your business is growing so fast, then that's another point of call for Mark as well. And also as well, thanks very much, Mark. Some fantastic tips there as well for helping out other businesses throughout the northwest of England. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, pleasure. And I'd just also add to that that it's also a useful resource to go on the Boost Business website. There's a lot of interesting and informative information on there that we would signpost customers to.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, we hope that you've enjoyed the webinar. Thanks again to Mike and Jason for their contribution. And if there is any questions after this, then please contact us directly, and the information will be at the end of this webinar. Alternatively, for some additional help and support, you can go straight onto the Boost website or the Access for Finance from the Growth Company.